So this is a throw from the rear angle here. This was one of the earlier throws that Malik had towards the beginning of the session, and it's actually a good video to see some of the things that we're trying to address here. So again, just kind of talking about his pre-pass stance and kind of where he's at with his knees. We definitely want to see a little bit of a wider base. We want to see a little bit of more bend in the knees, and then a little bit more flexion in the hips. He wants to be on the balls of his feet, and right now both toes should be pointing towards the wall, and his front stride foot will only take that directional position once he starts his stride towards his target. We want to try to keep that front foot closed and facing this way for as long as we can to help create more stored energy, and then it will end up landing forward and pointing towards his target as his GPS that we talked about. Continuing on here, we look at his rev, and from this angle it's not too bad. It's hard to tell from this angle, but you can see the lead elbow is really leading right out towards the target. We would like to see a little bit more of the forearm extending forward instead of that elbow lead, and the reason is, in which you can see well on this video, is with that elbow lead, now his front elbow looks to rip down wide, and what that does is it really creates a big rotation on his body. Really big rotation, thrusts that chest out, and now the chest, you can see again from this angle, the chest has really won the race. And once that chest wins the race, now his rear elbow is going to end up taking a much wider path as well, which you can see here. Okay, but really to fix that problem, it all starts with the front side. So we can work on the front side, forearm towards the target instead of the elbow, and also then work that squeeze movement. That's going to help keep us closed, and it's going to allow for a much more narrow elbow path, cutting through rather than orbiting around really wide. Okay. You can also see the lean that is created when, instead of driving his back knee, instead of driving the back knee and exploding it towards the target and driving the brakes down, what happens here is Malik essentially pushes himself forward onto his front foot, leaning forward, and as he's trying to throw, his body is then leaning off to the side. And when he finishes, see that lean he's got. Okay, and also the waist bend. That tank of energy has spilled quite a bit of energy out of his shirt collar before it has gotten to his arm. Ideally, we would like to see him finish in a much more upright position with his back angle. Okay, and that's going to come when you start to understand how to utilize your lower half and combine it with the rev, race, and squeeze of the upper half. But this is a good angle to kind of show you how his throw looks from the rear. And you can see he's got plenty of pop, plenty of zip on his ball, but we're going to learn how to maximize his efficiency. Instead of working harder, we're going to work literally smarter in keeping our body in line with that kinetic chain of movement. So go ahead. Definitely have some things to improve upon. Then we're going to start to see some real positive changes. And that last thing too, just that rear foot being left behind. We want to see that rear foot come around and get about even with that front foot, and his whole third side will be facing towards his target when he finishes.